I was just over that way, and then I came all the way down, and then up, and then around. I'm so tired.
Were you in the main stage, or?
I was in the YouTube lounge, which is literally across the hall.
Oh, right.
So I got lost. Naturally. Oh, hello. How we do?
Here we go.
Oh gosh. I only found out what this was about an hour ago.
Oh,
I was like, I knew I had to create a chat, but I didn't know what that meant. And I was suddenly terrified I had to give like a TED talk. And would have to prepare anything, which was a nightmare. So how are we all doing? We good?
Doing good.
That is very fair.
Yeah.
I'm wearing my ugly but very functional shoes, my con shoes. So, you know.
Just debating whether or not to wear the steel toes today.
You don't.
Overkill.
It's the people in heels that I pity.
You know, if you want to kick some TikTokers, I don't mind.
You leave TikTok alone. They got me a gold record.
They gave me 4 followers.
There you go. So, introduce yourselves, everyone. Let's just go around the table and say, hi, my name is, and then you say your name. And then you explain what you do, / what you would like to do eventually.
So, hi, my name is Lucas. I'm an animator as well. I make YouTube videos.
Yep.
And that's all.
Okay, so animation is obviously a common theme, but we won't just try and focus on that. I have to break the very hard news to everyone, in case you're unaware. I am not an animator. I am a writer and director of animation, but I used to be an animator. Now, like a lot of, I think, the big name animatory people, I employ more talented people than I, more patient people than I, to handle that. But that doesn't mean that I don't know my way around a thing. Wow, I couldn't think of a single thing to do with animation. That's embarrassing. A tablet, it's not even called Flash anymore, it's called Animate now. Unless you're using a superior, outdated version.
Yes, I love outdated.
Yeah, we just read.
It's my humor.
Go animate.
So, yeah, Go Animate, that's the one.
Go animate. Go animate.
That's what all TV shows are made on. Right, I guess we could just sort of think of this in terms of, because I think the whole point of this, right, is about everyone walking away feeling a little bit more comfortable or learned in things that they are wanting to do. So let's just throw some questions around and I'll do my best to advise. Obviously I know just things about channel growth, the industry, just bits and bats. So if anyone has any questions, ideally think about questions that could benefit everyone, if possible. But go buck wild.
How many projects do you have on the go at any kind of given time, on the average, and how do you deal with the workflow as well as spare time or free time?
I'd love to be able to answer this in the context of my main channel, which is more filmic and good, but really my second channel is the one that's more pumping, and that is in terms of vlogs, and that is usually we will try to have about 3 filmed at any given time, 1 being edited and 1 ready to be uploaded.
Right.
And so there's always a bank of content so that you can kind of guarantee at least some sort of a schedule. Because as time has gone on YouTube, we've all learned that the sub feed is very unreliable, and being able to tell your audience hey, there will be a new video every week, and they make that associative memory to manually come back and check is far more valuable than the sub feed, than the notification bell. Having that good faith relationship with your audience of knowing when there is content it's been very helpful. So you won't have those situations where I'm sure a lot of YouTubers have seen this, or a lot of you have seen this, where people are saying oh, I got unsubscribed from your channel, or I didn't get notified about this video. That can be avoided by the people knowing that there is a video guaranteed, and if they haven't seen it, then they'll know that it is still out there and go and find it. But ultimately it's just about do your backlog. Keeping a backlog is good. Always uploading a week behind is wise, so that you never are out of content if you have a bad week. Okay, so let me just throw out a bit of advice. Advice about employing people, and this will go back. This will relate to pretty much anything you ever do that isn't just you. So anything you make, you can't do everything. Unless maybe you're a painter, I don't know. Pretty much anything you make, at some point you will need to work with other people, but the people you go to will most likely first and foremost be your friends. This can ruin all of your friendships. So what you want to do is, whenever you work with a friend, get it in writing. you know, we have contracts and things. It doesn't need to be that formal or that scary, but if, say, you're going to ask your friend to do music for your video, even just having an email where you say, hey, I just want to confirm you're doing this much music for this video, and you're going to have it done by this day, and if you're going to pay them an amount, say, I'm going to pay you this amount, and you can add, you gradually you'll learn to add more things, like I will get the opportunity to have 1 round of notes, or 2 rounds of notes, or you know, maybe the video will be a bit longer than I planned. You know, if you put that all in writing, when things go wrong, it doesn't ruin your friendship, because you can go like, yeah, but there's this email, you know, come on, or there's this, or you know, if it's a bigger job, there's a contract. Get everything ever in writing. You may think that because you're working with your friends, it's fine, but your friends aren't always your friends forever, and sometimes that can get messy. Or even they won't be your friend because you didn't get stuff in writing. That is my biggest piece of advice in regards to employing anyone or just working with anyone else. Even if they're doing something small, like drawing some pictures for your video, they could maybe show up years later and say, hey, I did this for free, I want some money now, or something. Although they legally probably can't, but it's just something you don't even want to get into.
Do you have any good friendship contracts? As a friendship contract?
I do have, so like whenever I work with an animator now, we will draw up a contract that we use, because I always pay for animation by the minute. You know, some minutes are more complicated than others.
Is that like a minute of the
a minute of the anime, not a minute of working. No, I would have very no money if I did that. So yeah, the way we'll do it is it'll be like, yeah, you'll, for each 60 seconds you complete, or roundabout relatively, you know, sometimes there is just some good faith, like this scene was 55 seconds, it's like, yeah, whatever. So for every minute of animation you complete, you will be paid this much at this time, and that will roll over, and then they have a goal to, you know, a lot of animators will ask them to do about a minute every 3 weeks, and therefore if that's in the contract, then you never have to chase them, you never have to run the risk of straining that friendship, because you're just like, it's the contract. And they go, yeah, I did sign that. So that saved me a lot of aggro. It saved a lot of friendships, and it has also just made me a better employer, because it's very tempting to become a client from hell and take absolute liberties and go, yeah, but can you tweak that bit? Okay, now tweak that a bit. And if you have your own contract that says you get 2 rounds of notes, you will become a better director. You know, tell people exactly what you want to start, and you won't screw everything up. That was an absolute ramble, but apparently that's what we're here for.
Can I ask about voice acting? Because I've seen the videos where you would read, was it tweets, I think?
Yes.
And you would do like different voices. Like, how do you do that?
Air passes through this part.
It's a valid question. So yeah, voice acting is. I've had some people say that like the way they create voices is they just do an impression and then they do a second impression and then they just put them together. So like, I like do a lot of characters, like Mind Turtle from Master Movie. That's just Elmo, like Elmo loves you, and then he's like hello, and that's just that. There's the cow is basically just like a revamp of this weird character from Family Guy, who's like, you know, I was going to abort my girlfriend. And he's like, oh yeah, I want to go skateboard. So so like what I'm doing is I'm just doing other voices I've heard, and that's very easy. You know, if you're just not ashamed of being loud and obnoxious, and then
Sorry.
yeah.
So like when you do voices, like in that video you did like a voice of Suella. Like,
Yes.
How do you do voices like that? Because that.
Oh, you have to be fully prepared for Zoella to block you on Twitter. I can attest. I mean, again, it's just like I'm just very loud, and I've learned the range of my voice, you know, and it's just creating impressions and trying to mimic the sounds you hear. Like I'll even try to mimic sound effects of things. Like I'm awful to be around. If like there's an alarm going off, I'll suddenly be like and it's just like, and that's just practice, and I've just got better at controlling my voice.
I have an addition to this. Hesitation. Get rid of hesitation when you're trying to perform a voice. Because I, like many scrappy teenagers, thought, oh, I could sing, I could be in a band. But the problem is that you do that moment of doubt where you go, and your breath goes, let it go.
And you lose your wind.
So,
I can speak for everyone and say I'm glad you didn't start.
what
Speaking
you,
as someone who
what
knows
you
you
saying?
well.
I'm very good at that one part of the new song.
Yeah, this is a very good point though. In that, like you can tell a lot of first-time voice actors, a lot of younger voice actors, they have a lot of fear in their voice, and the most annoying sound to me when listening to another voice actor is hearing them fake scream. And they're like, ah! Like literally that sound, because they're worried they're going to annoy their parents. That is so, don't do that. But like, yeah, so it is just, don't be afraid to do voices. And there are voices I cannot do. SpongeBob, no idea. This is not a request for anyone else to do an impression of SpongeBob.
Aaron?
No.
So, just like when you're listening to things, to see what ones you can do, and then and just the more you do that, the more you'll just expand and do other things, and then you'll learn to fuse them. It is just being unashamedly loud. It's the equivalent of like learning to dance by just dancing in your bedroom. Just do voices.
Do you ever struggle with consistency? Because I struggle with consistency, and that's what stopped me from trying to pursue any of this.
What do you mean, like with voices?
Yeah.
I just have like trigger phrases that I will do. The same way, like the best way to get into doing the Birmingham accent is to say the word Birmingham.
It's like Pokemon.
Yeah, it's like I will have trigger phrases that like I have always done as that character, and I will bring myself back to that.
Yeah. Like, have you seen the video where someone's redubbed the scene from Star Wars Episode 3 with Obi-Wan and Anakin with
Wow.
Mickey Mouse and Daffy Duck?
Yeah.
And it's just the line, what is it? You want my brother, Anakin? And it's just, yeah.
my brother, Anakin, I love you. You're the chosen one.
Yeah, ever since that video, I've been trying to get my Daffy Duck impression down. It's really hard.
It's hard.
It's like, it's just I can't do it. It's to articulate. It's really hard.
It's really easy to slip into like crackle.
But that's the one.
But
I'm
Mel Brooks
now a
is
lot
one
better at
person to
that.
look at.
I'm a lot better at that voice than I was a week ago because I've just been trying to do it. And maybe then eventually I will create a character that somehow incorporates the sound of speaking through the side of my mouth.
I mean, if there is a voice actor to idolise most, is Mel Brooks from a lot of those cartoons, because not only did he do voices, he had the ability, and it's very difficult, very unique, to have one of his characters do an impression of another character he does.
Yeah.
So having Daffy Duck and Bugs Bunny doing impressions of each other, doing duck season, rabbit season, that sort of thing. That's a skill to like admire and maybe look at him. Also watch Police Academy, all the first three, but not the last four.
No, that's fair. And it's good to, like I said, I was saying, like, if you've learned two voices, see what happens if you fuse them, and that can help you create new things. Like I think one of the biggest limitations of voice acting is microphones, and like if you go louder, you're going to pop the audio and stuff. So microphones are a huge part of it. You want to get. You don't need to, a lot of people feel held back and they feel like they can't do anything until they get the most expensive piece of technology, but you can really start at any point on a, 30, 50 pound microphone, as long as you get like a pop shield, which is just basically, if you don't know, a little bit of like felt that goes between your mouth and the microphone, and that will stop a lot of the popping. And then the rest is down to just controlling the levels so that it doesn't peak when you scream. I scream a lot. It's me, a surprise. None of you. Do you have a question?
How do you come up with all your jokes and ideas?
Oh God. That's a broad one. So idea conception. This is a huge topic. If I'd known more in advance what this was about, I would have brought a couple handouts, because I'm that boring that I have handouts that I've made about like methods of brainstorming. But it's impossible to. It's hard to argue against just the good old-fashioned spider diagram brainstorming thing of just taking a word and then doing offshoots of words that are related to that word, and then just thinking. I mean, when it comes to comedy, all you're trying to do is subvert expectations, really. So it's easy enough to think of, like, I want to make a joke about beds. So I'm going to do jokes I'm going to think about everything to do with the bed. Okay, you got pillows, you got Duvets, duvets. What happens with duvets? Oh, I guess some people use the covers and dress like ghosts, and then it's like, okay, so maybe now we could do something about the duvet being a ghost that's laying down, or all beds just sleeping ghosts. I don't know, but that's the kind of process that you will go to. Like sometimes I'll just write down loads of stock, just like phrases that people say all the time, and then I wrote a joke that was just someone said I was thinking about the phrase "turn that frown upside down." It was like, well, what if the person did that just by breaking their own neck, and then that's a joke. I wrote that one literally while pooping. I will always remember that. I hate you get cursed by remembering where all your jokes came from, and that one came decidedly on the toilet, or the shower, which is a visual you didn't need, but now you have. So ideas usually, for me at least, just come from like word association, like putting things together and seeing what sticks, or just like spreading out a mind map until I've just like got this huge visualization of a concept within my head, and then just trying to piece together what works and what doesn't. And for every 100 ideas, I'll think of 100 ideas, I'll write down 20 of them, and one of them will be okay. So it's not uncommon for like a whole day to amount to nothing. I also just write down a lot of stuff on my phone. Do I have anything on my phone that's interesting at the moment? Gosh.
A radio lecturer of mine once told me, if anything ever happens to you or you think of it, just write it down, even if it's like a word or two words in a thing.
I have a bit of a problem with that. Sometimes a situation occurs and then a joke comes in my mind, and then it's funny, but then I overthink it and I ruin the joke. I think I'll improve this, or if I write this way or that way, and then in the end, where's the joke? It's gone.
Maybe dictaphone it to yourself.
Yeah, the initial idea is usually the funniest one before you start overthinking it. That said, I overthink every joke obsessively, so I'm not one to talk, really. I dissect every joke into its funniest form. What was a joke I wrote really recently? Damn it, let's get my phone out again. That was pretty funny. And that's just the subversion of expectations. You've got two layers there. One is, you think that it's going to be the obvious joke. The obvious joke is people going to think, oh, it's actually the thing. And then the reveal is that. So that's but that joke's not done yet. That needs revision. So what I'll probably do is I'll probably ask my animator to animate that, and then I will try and think of a way to make it funnier.
Maybe try out a few names.
Yeah.
Is that Ryan Reynolds? Hang on. Are you a YouTuber? I don't know.
God, do you know Dodie is a classic.
You could be on the ground.
I don't know when we have to leave here, but I'm just going to keep going. I don't care. So, does anyone have any?
I ordered pizza, so we're fine.
Oh, tight, cool.
Right.
Did you have a hand?
Yeah, how
Good
do
job.
you decide who you're going to choose as your animators? Like, where do you find them?
I find animators about 8 years ago, and then never bothered to find new ones. Genuinely, the way I found this batch of animators once. I just went to Newgrounds and I just looked at like some of the latest things that are uploaded, and I just watched like 20 videos, and I found 5 that I really liked the styles of, and I just went to those people's accounts, got their email and said, hey, will you animate something for $100? And they said yes, and we didn't write contracts. But that was one way to find animators, is I went to a more entry-level place, because obviously the animators you're watching on YouTube aren't accessible, they aren't available, they're doing their own thing. But if you find, much more amateur level people, then yeah, you maybe have something that you can bring to them. Like maybe they're a good animator, but they're not a good scriptwriter. So you've teamed up with them, and then now you've got a thing that's well written and well animated, and that's what I try to do. And also it helps to come with money. Do be prepared if you want to own the thing you're doing. Do be prepared to pay. But you find the value that they're prepared to do. When it's entry level, it's much easier. When you're all amateurs, there's so much more leeway. I'd still say get it in writing, because that's like one thing that really happened with me is I was making very little money, and therefore I was paying people very little money. But then I started making a lot of money, and the people who I'd paid little money were angry. It was like, yeah, but back when we did it, none of us had. It doesn't matter. So yeah, get it in writing.
So you have this on the history of me, Adelaide, one of the videos.
Yeah, the biggest kerfuffle of my life was all around animators and not paying them well enough and not paying them on time. That's more of a just straight up, I'm just really bad at punctuality.
Every mistake's a lesson, though, isn't it?
Yeah, I learned the lesson by just getting a guy who pays the bills. My friend Eddie is just like, Eddie, pay everyone quick. because I will forget to, and that's great.
You would have invested initially before, well now you just have a production company, but before that you would be investing presumably your own money into
Yeah, it would all just fall under my own money at that point.
So
but
the investment, and then presumably that's you paid that investment off. But because what I've done with my company is I've put it, all of my investment goes through as a director's loan, so that I recoup that cost back when the company makes profit, which is another tax avoiding. But never mind.
But not tax evasion.
No.
Tax avoiding.
I was also curious on that note. Is at what point did you realize, or when did it become, the need to maybe have like multiple streams of revenue to take the pressure off just things like AdSense or that? How many streams of revenue do you think is enough to not be like, oh god, what happens if AdSense goes away?
There's a million different ways to make money online, and it just depends on the kind of content you create and where people are going to want that. People are going to want to give you money. Like, so I have the three major ones, which is ad revenue, obviously from my videos, and that's very viable because because I have Ask the Movie. Because Ask the Movie exists and gets millions of views, that generates a decent amount of money. Because realistically, like, it's different for every single channel, but my rule of thumb is 1 million views is about £1,000. So unless you're making, a couple million views a month, it's very unlikely it's going to be enough to live off of.
I've heard that one.
But for some channels, like, 1 million views can mean £50,000. Like, it's insane. Like the difference in what's called the CPM, which is basically how much you make per 1,000 views. So I have ad revenue. I have merchandise. My merch table is down in the expo hall. Thank you. And so, like, the way that works is either you're selling online, but that's a zero risk, very low reward system where you have a website that is just printing the shirts for you. You don't put any money in yourself, and therefore you only get paid a tiny amount. So, like, if you use like one of those like Cafe Press or Zazzle or whatever websites, they're printing those shirts on demand, which means the profits are very, very low, and they give you a fraction of that. So for each shirt you sell, you're maybe going to make 10p. This shirt right here, I don't really care. I don't really care about you guys knowing exactly how much things cost. This shirt right here, we designed it. It originally had 6 colors, and that was coming in at about £5.50 a unit to order in 120 shirts. I sell those shirts at £12, which means that for each shirt sold, that's going to round out to only about £6 profit. And then you account for like the cost of the table and the cost of the person, and you've sold 120 shirts at £6 profit. That's only created about 600 and maybe 700 pounds, and then you shave off the cost of the people selling it and everything else, and suddenly you've made £100, which was a complete waste of time. So what we did is we doubled the order to 250 where there was a price break. We removed 3 of the colours, which was the shading, and then we got the price of production cost of the shirts down to £3. And because we ordered them ourselves, we cut the costs down, and all that. I made an investment of probably more like £2,000, but that has the possibility of, when all of those shirts are sold, to turn into more like a £2,000 profit instead of like a £200 profit. So I have invested more high risk, but I have done so hoping that the shirt will definitely sell out. I have no idea how the table's doing, but no one has said it's. But my team have been too busy to reply, so hopefully fine. I will be at my table at 3:30, so we'll find out. But that's like one way to do merch. That not to say every decision I've ever made has been good. Like I ordered these Mind Turtle plushies. We ordered 2,500 of them at £3.50 a unit. We sold them for £12 each. Those sold like wildfire. We did the same again for some sheeps. So 2,000 units at like £4 per unit cost. So you can do the math of that being like 4,000 or whatever pounds. And they haven't sold. So we just have a whole garage full of talking sheep. And so that was a high investment that has yet to turn a reward, but that's the
I know a
investment.
lot of Scottish people that might buy them off.
Well,
Yeah, more Welsh.
try New Zealand. They might like it a bit more. That's not New Zealand. Let's see if it fucking isn't.
And then there's the next main revenue source for me, or at least it used to be, which would be brand deals, which has changed massively. The landscape of brand deals has changed massively over the years. It used to be a company would come and say, hey, here's £10,000, here's £20,000, please make a video to promote our product or our brand or something, and I'd make a sketch, and they'd be like, hooray. But now the money is all in, like, you know, hey, we want to thank today's sponsor, Squarespace, Honey, have you heard of Shadow League Legends or whatever? I don't know, they haven't paid me, I don't have to learn their name. But like, so it's more like these multiple small brand deals is more the dominating force, and they are closer to ad revenue than really anything else. But you know, if you're a YouTuber that's more on the education side, you're probably going to make a lot of money through doing talks. If you're more business oriented, you're probably going to make a lot more money from consultancy. So it's different for everyone, and the kind of merch you make is massively different as well. Like if you're a YouTuber who has a very popular product, like I have Movie, which is these very popular characters and these very popular quotes. I do t-shirts with the characters and the quotes. However, you take a YouTuber out there who's very attractive and young, and they once upon a time, you know, you have these young attractive YouTubers, and their catchphrase is something like "Hi there." They can sell a t-shirt that's just their face and the word "Hi there," and that will sell just as well.
But as I know, those sorts of YouTubers won't attract this table of people.
That is true.
I would be bored as fuck in that room.
But you know, they will go to a panel and people will show up. Nothing more depressing than doing a panel and there's like 4 people in the audience. This is much more rewarding, at least. Now, so those are some of the methods of revenue. All I've done is tell you about them, not how to get them.
On your merch, do you make more money at conventions, like in-person sales, over online sales?
Yes. Yes, depending on if I've had a good year or bad year for like online merch. So online merch, I'd say generally turns in about maybe £1,000 a month. But you know, if say if we've got a new shirt out or a new movie's come out with a new titular character that's got like a whole new shirt, haha, the Waffle Man, he's funny. That didn't sell at all. This wasn't a very good joke. So that, you know, then they'll have a better month. However, conventions are like slightly more consistent. So I'd say, all said and done, the biggest expense for this con would have been those t-shirts, and we have got those and posters and books and stuff. That's all downstairs. We didn't pay for the table; that was provided for us, which is very handy. However, we have had to pay for a van to get all the merch there. I'm paying all my team, obviously. So you know, that shaves off, I don't know, maybe like £1,000, but everything we get back will be profit. So each con maybe earns a couple grand profit. If we do one of those a month, then that's probably more profitable. But it's massively different. I mean, I did an MCM Comic Con back in like, I don't know, 2013, where we walked away with, I think, £23,000 in cash.
Speaking of your merch.
Ooh. What are you doing? What have you done? What have you done to my merch? Are you just filming my merch?
Yeah.
That's fine.
I'm filming for a friend's documentary, and I got a shot of your merch.
Well, you have my consent to use it. But yes, I do. Yeah, I set the table up.
So how do we write the contract?
Well, as I have no intention of revoking consent, you're fine. So yeah, I've had a con where we walked home with £23,000 in cash, having invested maybe 8,000 in the entire event. So that's like a £15,000 profit. I walked into the bank with that much money. I thought it'd be really funny if I threw flour on my face before I went in, to make them think I was a coke fiend.
Say hello to my little friend.
They called the cops, and that's not even a joke. And that's the story of how I became a premier banking member at Barclays. Yeah, so because they were like, oh, you make money, cool, have a better account. And I was like, yay.
So one thing I was wondering is, as well, when we were talking about, you mentioned things like brand deals. Is there ever an ethical dilemma in terms of like, are you quite selective with the brands you might work with, or are you just like, give me money and I'll make a thing?
Yeah, no, I do. I am careful, especially more so these days with the brands I work with. Like one I've always said is that I will never work with is alcohol, just because I cannot pretend that I don't have a lot of young people in my audience. But I mean, like junk food and food, I'm fine with promoting because like I'm like a walking cautionary tale. No one's watching me eat Oreos and going, I wonder what those do. So I'm fine with promoting food because again, like it's clearly not a diet food. But yeah, certain products, like I'll often like try to use it at least. I did a whole brand deal for Tinder, which is a whole thing. I've used Tinder for exactly 10 minutes. and I was just so depressed.
Success.
Yeah, and I was like,
So quick.
nope, deleted that app. But they were like, hey, here's the most amount of money I've ever seen. Do a video for us.
Do you ever think about the sort of the supply of when you're looking at a brand, you look into its sort of supply chains or sustainability or ethical things? Do you go that far deep, or do you just consider what the brand is? You know, like you said, alcohol wouldn't do that, or like.
You're making me want to lie.
Yeah.
But no,
don't like
I haven't done too much into
No,
supply
that's
chains.
fine. I
I
was
will
just
admit.
curious, but it is something because I in places I work with people who do supply chains and all that kind of stuff, so I'm a bit more aware of that than the average
I
person.
feel like the more liberal and eco-friendly brands would want to work with me because I have a very prickly persona. I think you might get more extreme Red Bull kind of brands.
I think
Terrible.
you'd definitely get those brand deals if you suddenly announced you was vegan.
I could, but then I wouldn't eat cheese.
I didn't say you had to.
Oh no, you're right. Yeah, I didn't think of it that way.
I will delete that, but don't worry.
Okay, so this is just a famous standoff of any client creator, just like, how much is your budget versus, well, they say, what's your rate? And you say, what's your budget? And then you stare at each other, and then one of you says something and trying not to offend or scare the other away. They're like £2,000, and I'm like, no. And I'm like, £20,000, and they're like, I'm leaving. And yeah, it's genuinely, every company is different. Like I just had one company offer me an obscene like £10,000 for a video for my second channel, whereas I got a different brand offering me $2,000 for my main channel. Every company doesn't know what they're doing. There is no standard for it. So you will just get the weirdest offers, and it's kind of up to you to decide what you're worth. I mean, if you're just like a freelancing artist, I always just say like, well, how many hours would you spend on that work, and how much do you think an hour of your time is worth, and then add an extra 20%. So, like I often overpay artists because like I work with a lot of first-time artists, and I'm like, I want you to do a poster, and how much would you like to be paid? And they'll be like £30. I'll be like, that's stupid. I'm going to give you £150. Idiot. So yeah, because sometimes people just massively undercharged. But yeah, a lot of the time though, a lot of brand deals will come through ad agencies that will be reaching out to a lot of creators en masse and saying like, hey, we want we're looking for people to do a video that promotes honey. It's a 30-second push that covers these points, and it's £2,000 for the fee plus a tweet that you have to put out. And you just, it's up to you to decide whether or not you take that. If you're actually looking for jobs yourself, that can be very fiddly. You either want to contact brands directly and hope someone passes you on to a marketing team, but by and large, all brands will actually rely on advertising agencies. So the way a brand deal will work is you'll have, I'll use an example. You have Tinder. Tinder say, okay, we've got a new thing, and the Tinder marketing department say, okay, well, we're going to set aside £1 million to promote this thing. That £1 million gets split out between 5 ad agencies. So let's say they got £200,000 each. Those ad agencies will reach out to talent managers, and those ad agencies will say, okay, we got £100,000. They're lying to these managers, and then the managers will say, okay, and then they'll reach out to the talent, and they'll say, yeah, we got offered £10,000, and that's kind of the chain of event. That's what happened once with the brand deal I did. So it was Tinder, and then it was Tinder marketing, and then it was an ad agency, and then it was my management. It ran out of batteries, and then it was my management, and then it was me. I made the video. We wrote the script. We passed it on up the chain. We did all this, all that. We finished the video. We were ready to upload it, and then it turned out. And the reason I'm saying Tinder video that because you've never seen it, you don't know which video this is. But it turned out that Tinder marketing had not actually talked to Tinder corporate, which was the final step in the chain. So the entire marketing department got fired. The entire ad campaign got scrapped, but everyone still got paid. Hence the marketing department being fired. And I just cut out a few references to Tinder and then released the video anyway. And that was the most profitable video I've ever made, and you didn't even have to hear about. And it's the most I've said Tinder since. So, hooray!
Is there like an expectation in the industry that they'll be like, oh, they know we're going to be offering them a lower rate than we have available? Like,
It depends on who you're dealing with. Like sometimes they'll usually be met with a hard line between the management and or the ad agency, and they'll just say, nope, immovable. We'll just find someone else. It really depends, I guess, on how good you are, how good your manager is, what your track record is. Like I have just been petty sometimes. Like I've been trying to sabotage the gig, and I'll just like quit. I'll just like be like, give me £500 more, or I'll quit. And then they actually do it. And I'm like, oh, I didn't want to do it.
Or like, oh, I should have asked for 1,000.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Should have asked for a puppy.
I've been
made of chocolate.
But it is so chaotic. Like I had a really nice, lucrative brand deal once offered, and so one thing that happened. So like, I'll do another chain of a brand deal. Amazon, was it Amazon? I don't know. Someone, let's say Now TV, had to promote The Walking Dead, so they reached out to ad agencies. Those ad agencies reached out to management, and the ad agencies got the bright spark idea that it'd be really funny to do. It wasn't Walking Dead. It was Westworld, and it was like, okay, we want to do a funny prank video. So they reached out to management and talent about doing a prank video. Okay. How many more minutes do I have to wind up? How many minutes do I have to wind up? Okay, we'll wind up now. Okay, we'll do. So what happened there is they wanted this prank video. I said, no, that prank video idea is stupid. Let me pitch a better idea. They said, no. We lost the brand deal idea. But then that went back to the ad agency. The ad agency didn't want to look bad. So the next YouTuber they reached out to was YouTube with 10% of the subscribers we had. But because they didn't want to lose the job and look bad, they let them do a custom video. They paid them the same amount, and all that happened was that they learned their lesson, and I didn't get a job. I hate my life. I quit a lot of jobs, and then someone else has got a better version of that job. It's basically like what happens when you break up with someone, or they break up with you, and then the person they then date next gets a much better version of them. It's very stressful. So that was just a real load of words, wasn't it? What time is it? I don't know. Oh, okay. All I have is a booth appearance in an hour. Can we just like go? If anyone has any more questions, can we stand in the hallway? I don't know.
Yeah, there's a space. There's a greater lounge.
Yeah. So.
A bathroom somewhere.
Yeah.
Aaron, not again. I learned my lesson the first time.
So hopefully some people learn something. I know that was like really vague and scatterbrained. It's weird because it's obviously such a diverse group of people in here, and it's hard to throw out things that are going to benefit everyone. But yeah, if anyone has any more focused questions, I'll try and just take a couple if I can in the hall, and if they move us somewhere else, they move us somewhere else. I don't know.
I think this turned out more productive than he was expecting, at least.
Possibly. I can do very structured talks on one thing, like here's the process of pitching a brand deal or something, but everyone wants different things. I mean, some people, the idea of a tax bracket is completely irrelevant and may always remain irrelevant as YouTube remains a hobby level. But, and also, a lot of the things I've learned growing up has changed now. YouTube has changed. The equipment I was using when I started making YouTube was 10% as good as this phone. So people are like, well, what camera should I use? What tech should I use? How should I reach out to color? Just like, I don't know anymore. That has drastically changed. And there's no end to that line. So yeah, just go out there and make some mistakes, but please God, make sure you get it all in writing.
That's the biggest thing.
Yeah,
that was a very good way to end that.
Get everything in writing. Save your friendships. Save the world.
Cool. Make mistakes. Get it in writing.
2007 Heroes reference. Yeah, big time. Right, let's leave the room. Oh, no worries. Let's
that was enjoyable.
Let's go into the hall.
Can I actually?
Absolutely not.
I'm a YouTuber. I also have my own company. But do you have if my company, if I put it to the adventures have some money, then I'm like, okay, I have all this money. I would employ a marketing director, and then but I want to do things like that, do brand deals. So do you have specific ad agencies that you go on?
Can I be a voice actor in your animation, please? It would be very nice.
You got a list.
That sounds good.
Okay.
Afraid not. It's
I went for £5 or pizza.
Same price on Fiverr.
Yes.
That
In fact.
you would know if you see someone else was working. Like I met someone downstairs that was working at a brand agency, and they were very good. And now they're